Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. It is Friday at about 10:51. Pretty rainy, dark, and dreary day today. So good day to watch movies. But hey, any day is a good, every day and any day or any night or any time is a good time to watch a movie. So yeah, I've been doing lots of videos and talking a lot about my favorite label, and that is Mondo Macabra. I've been covering all things Mondo Macabra and just poured myself a nice steamy hot cup of coffee. I got today off actually from work, teacher conference, so I have time to just chill and maybe get some practicing in and whatnot. But lately I've been talking about, all things Mondo Macabra, my favorite label of all time. I've said many times they take the deepest dive that really one can do, or definitely for any of these boutique labels out there. They take such a deep dive. I think it's kind of unprecedented that these movies, sometimes that happens with me when I watch some of these films where, and it's not just the Mondo Macabre sleazy films, but in general, when I watch a lot of these exploitation movies, I just like, well, for me, it's just the ultimate form of escapism from this completely ridiculous world we live in. And I also think it's like, it's so entertaining too. And it reflects kind of just the gonzo nature of our existence. And it's a way to just kind of deal with it in a more, I don't know, cathartic way. Um, but a lot of the times I'm just like baffled by some of these films because I'm like, wow, how the fuck did this get made? Or how the fuck did this get distributed, like, or get released in 2024 or 2025 on Blu-ray or even 4K? And I'm just like, what? Like movies that are so, for all intents and purposes, are just trash, but the good kind of trash. The good kind of trash, the trash we all want, the trash we don't want to throw away. I guess that's a good way to put it. You have your trash and your garbage that you got to throw out, every week or every day. And then you have your trash that you just want to hold on to and sit with. And exploitation is, I think, a perfect example of that. And, Mono Macabre, again, they take the deepest dive. And so today I'm going to be talking about a movie I have talked about before, but this movie is such a fucking masterpiece that it deserves to be talked about. I, in my time, or just, me being online and checking out YouTube videos and different YouTubers I have come in contact with, I've yeah, I recall only one time where the movie I'm going to talk about today was mentioned, and I believe this was about a year ago or so. There's I can think of maybe about three to four, yeah, at least four YouTube guys and girls out there that really, just focus on the world of exploitation, especially the horror exploitation world. But in general, the whole slimy universe is pretty much what they do, as far as just the kinds of videos that they do. And I remember hearing about this movie once on this one particular channel, and it was probably about a year ago. And I heard that at that time that this movie is out of print right now, and I'm like, wow, okay. So with with all of these reissues and all of these things that kind of get reissued and brought back because there's a lot of freaks out there that love this shit, including myself. You know, the whole out of print thing, I don't think is as there's limited releases on things, but there's a demand for the sleeves, and it seems like these companies, are going to obviously capitalize on that and keep putting out some of these releases. But I think this movie is out of print, which is crazy. And I have to say too that this might be I mean, it's so hard to say what your favorite is. I'm not one to really take, and put together lists of my favorite or my top 10. I have done a couple of shows. I did I did two big shows of where I talked about my favorite films of 2024 last year, because last year was a pretty amazing year for films. This year has been not really great. Not really great. 2025. That being said, I will say the movie I saw this year that I thought was really awesome, and now I'm a huge fan of Oz Perkins or Osgood Perkins, who did Longlegs. He released The Monkey a couple weeks ago, and I saw that in the theater, which is it's based on a Stephen King uh, book, and that movie was awesome. I'm a huge fan of his movies. That's the only good thing I've seen this year that really grabbed me by the balls and made me laugh and was just a trip. I can't think of any other movies. Definitely in terms of movies that are coming out theatrically. I don't know of really anything that is like, making me wanting to go see it. And I also don't, and aside from me buying movies, I've seen some, just incredible movies. On that front, it's always pretty awesome. But compared to last year, and I know it's, I don't know, kind of early in the year, but it's been pretty crappy. I mean, with the exception of the Monkey, which was totally awesome, and I highly recommend it. But when it comes to top lists, like I did one last year on the fantastic all the fantastic horror movies that came out in 2024. It wasn't necessarily in an order. I mean, it kind of was. It kind of was a little bit in an order. And I did a big show last year, which was a really big show, one of the longer shows I did, where I talked about my favorite horror exploitation movies, or just really my favorite exploitation movies. And for the most part, for that show, I definitely had a certain kind of order. But I'm not one to always do that. I tend to stay away from that because I love, so many different things kind of all at the same time or at the same level. So I don't really think in terms of of that. But that being said, Mondo Macabra has such a diverse amount of the kinds of films that they show, the amount of diversity for their movies is the different styles, the different genres is just second to none. It's I think it's better than any other company out there. But one movie I always go back to, I'm gonna probably watch it either tonight or really really soon again, and I've seen it. It's almost at a point now where I've kind of lost count on how many times I've seen it, and I don't know. So because of that, I just naturally always gravitate towards this movie. I've seen it so many times. I started to lose count. I discovered it about three, probably 3 or 4 years ago now, and I don't know. Hard to say, but at the end of the day, because I'm just always drawn to this movie and the amount of times I've seen it, I have to say that this is probably my favorite movie that Mondo Macabro has put out, and that is Satanico Pandemonium. This movie is has got to be the most depraved and disgustingly perverse movie I have seen through Mondo Macabro. I just love this fucking movie. This movie is, and I've talked about this movie before, but my God, this movie is so fucking outrageous and shocking and amazing. It's a non exploitation movie. There are in the world of exploitation, you have there's like the genre films, and then there's the subgenre films, kind of within the genre, or or under the big giant umbrella of exploitation. You have obviously the giallo style. You have kind of the sex exploitation movies where they are virtually porns. You have the horror exploitation movies. Uh, you have like the kind of like crime syndicate, action exploitation movies. The women in prison is a big exploitation genre, and then I really love exploitation movies that have occult elements or like not really, but fakey bakey satanic elements and occult based exploitation movies. Those those are probably my favorite. And then you have the slasher. Well, the slasher genre is my favorite, but right underneath that would be exploitation movies that have an occult theme or some kind of satanic thing. And then you have non exploitation movies. There's so many. Within you the genre specific films, and then you have the subgenre, and then you have a lot of directors and films that blend all of these different things together. But out of the really out of the sleazy depths of Mondo Macabre, I have to say Satanico Pandemonium is the most outrageous film. It is like it's so depraved. It came out in 73, or sorry, 75. It's a Spanish film. It was directed by Gilberto Martinez Solares. And I bought this totally on a whim, like I have with every Mondo Macabre title. I have to say that this movie is just a harrowing experience, because there's certain things in this movie that are just, well, kind of wrong, but it's so well done and so outrageous that you just can't stop looking at it. I remember watching this film a couple times before, and then I had a friend over. And I've had this, I think, yeah, for a few years. I had a friend over, and we were watching this. And I remember I was sitting in my chair, and she was sitting on the couch watching the movie. And I remember her, like, at one point while we were watching Satanical Pandemonium, she, like, let out this gasp. And I was, like, watching I was watching her film, but then looking over at her reaction and hearing her, and just how she was just shocked and just like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. That was kind of my reaction too. It amplified my shock of just what I was seeing. At that point, I had seen the movie a few times. But man, this movie is so outrageous, so gonzo. Definitely, without a fucking doubt, a movie that could never, ever in a million years be made today. I'm curious to see if this movie is out of print, like I said before. Because this is, I think if you're into just total debauchery, captured on the big screen or captured on film, this is the movie for you. It's packed with really great special features. There's a lot of great interviews on here. The cinematography is really awesome. The music is awesome. This movie will haunt you and stay with you, and you will probably want to take a shower after you watch it. It's so sleazy and amazing. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.